Okay, chat. How many of you guys are fans of Donald Trump? I'm willing to bet that the majority of people in my chat probably not. Okay, like this is an unhinged individual, and it's insane to me that anybody would think that he is a qualified candidate for president of the United States. We've already seen the kind of dumb shit he's done the first time he was in office. So anybody who thinks it's a good idea to put him in office again, you probably should get your head checked because there's something not quite right with you. But speaking of not quite right with you, it seems like things aren't quite right with Donald Trump lately, as if that hasn't already been acknowledged up to this point. He's made some very unusual statements as of late that just makes him seem even more off kilter, as if he didn't seem that way already. What exactly am I talking about here? We're going to take a look at a couple of these statements here, and also a response of a relative of his and her thoughts on some of the stuff that he's been saying lately. But anyways, we have Donald Trump here. Cease and desist. I, together with many attorneys and legal scholars, am watching the sanctity of the 2024 presidential election very closely because I know better than most the rampant cheating and skullduggery that has taken place by the Democrats in the 2020 presidential election. It was a disgrace to our nation. Therefore, the 2024 election, where votes have just started being cast, will be under the closest professional scrutiny, and when I win, those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences, so that the depravity of justice does not happen again. We cannot let our country further devolve into a third world nation, and we won't. Please beware that this legal exposure extends to lawyers, political operatives, donors, illegal voters, and corrupt election officials. Those involved in unscrupulous behavior will be sought out, caught, and prosecuted at levels unfortunately never seen before in our country. Yeah, he's pretty fucking unhinged, I'd say, chat. I'd say he's definitely pretty fucking unhinged. Let's take a look at another one of his ridiculous statements. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this video here.
Can you imagine you're a...
Oh, let me go ahead and boost the audio because it's a little on the low side. Let's boost it up to right about here. Here we go.
Can you imagine you're a parent and your son leaves the house and you say, Jimmy, I love you so much. Go have a good day in school. And your son comes back with a brutal operation. Can you even imagine this? What the hell is wrong with our country?
Okay, so spewing the typical transphobic rhetoric that we've heard time and time again, basically talking about schools transing your kids, which is not happening. Okay, anybody who thinks that kids are getting like bottom surgery operations in school, like, you're just a fucking idiot. Like, that literally doesn't happen. Do you understand? Like, this is what makes it so, like, bizarre to me. When I hear like these crazy statements being made about kids getting trans and stuff like that. Do you know how hard it is for an adult to get gender affirming care? To get access to stuff like, you know, HRT, and to get access to, you know, bottom surgery and like, it's insanely difficult. There's a reason why you look at the trans community on social media and you constantly see them sharing GoFundMes to cover like their bottom surgery and stuff like that, because it's not an easy thing to get. If you think some kid in school is going to school and they're leaving school with like bottom surgery, like, you're insane, okay? Adults are having trouble getting this stuff. Not to mention the fact that even the most outspoken trans, like, activists are not fighting for kids getting bottom surgery, okay? That's just not happening, all right? That is a very unhinged statement to make, and it's very insane if you actually believe it. But let's go ahead and let's look at another statement that Trump recently made that has got so bad. Basically, this was such a bad response that even Trump's own niece, who happens to be a psychologist, is questioning whether he's capable of being president. So this is Donald Trump's answer on how he will make childcare more affordable. Listen to this, chat.
If you win in November, can you commit to prioritizing legislation to make childcare affordable? And if so, what specific piece of legislation will you advance?
Well, I would do that, and we're sitting down. You know, I was we had Senator Marco Rubio, and my daughter Ivanka was so impactful on that issue. It's a very important issue. But I think when you talk about the kind of numbers that I'm talking about, that, because look, childcare is childcare. There's something, you have to have it. In this country, you have to have it. But when you talk about those numbers compared to the kind of numbers that I'm talking about by taxing foreign nations at levels that they're not used to, but they'll get used to it very quickly. And it's not going to stop them from doing business with us, but they'll have a very substantial tax when they send product into our country. Those numbers are so much bigger than any numbers that we're talking about, including childcare, that it's going to take care. We're going to have, I look forward to having no deficits within a fairly short period of time, coupled with the reductions that I told you about on waste and fraud and all of the other things that are going on in our country. Because I have to stay with childcare. I want to stay with childcare, but those numbers are small relative to the kind of economic numbers that I'm talking about, including growth, but growth also headed up by what the plan is that I just told you about. We're going to be taking in trillions of dollars, and as much as child care is talked about as being expensive, it's relatively speaking not very expensive compared to the kind of numbers we'll be taking in. We're going to make this into an incredible country that can afford to take care of its people, and then we'll worry about the rest of the world. Let's help other people. But we're going to take care of our country first. This is about America first. It's about make America great again. We have to do it because right now we're a failing nation. So we'll take care of it. Thank you.
Did any of that make sense to any of you all? Because as I listen to that statement, there's only one thing that resonates in my mind, and I see Mystical Death alluding to the same thing. There's only one statement that resonates in my mind after listening to what Donald Trump just said. And it goes a little something like this.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.
Oh my God. Bruh. Okay, so basically, the last thing I want to cover as part of this segment, in response to this, a lot of people are questioning, like, what the fuck did he say in response to this? But in response to this, Trump's own niece, who happens to be a psychologist, has actually given her thoughts on this statement and said that she thinks that it was gibberish and that Donald Trump is dementing, in her own words. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at what she had to say on this. Mary Trump, the niece of Donald Trump, has shared her analysis that the former president's mental state is deteriorating after he struggled to answer a question on childcare. In a piece on Substack on Sunday, the psychologist argued that Trump is dementing, citing his appearance at the Economic Club of New York last week, where he was asked what type of legislation he would push to make childcare affordable. Mary Trump wrote that the answer was gibberish, and the only thing that made sense was the phrase "childcare is childcare." Oh my God. Oh shit! Oh shit! She went on to slam the corporate media for not properly reporting on Trump's answer, instead thinking that they must translate Donald Trump's nonsensical rambling into a version of English language we can all understand. No, like, your job as the press, if the president says something really fucking stupid that literally makes no sense or whatever, don't try to make sense of it. Literally just like, okay, he just said something that didn't make any sense at all. Why would you do anything other than that? It just, what? Mary Trump argued that reporters were imbuing words with meaning that is not there. And it's deeply disturbing that somebody as unhinged and incoherent as Donald is allowed to run for the presidency in the first place. And I would agree. The psychologist wrote that her uncle is demonstrably untethered from reality, and that the warning lights are flashing because nobody covering him expects otherwise. Surely a political press corps that spent months arguing that President Biden's age rendered him mentally unfit, and I would agree. You know, we definitely made those arguments about Joe Biden, right? So why are the same people who made those arguments about Joe Biden not making the exact same arguments about their guy, right? So they rendered a mentally unfit, wouldn't look the other way when the Republican candidate, the oldest person to run for president in American history, is not only old, but decompensating before our very eyes, she wrote. The difference, of course, is that Biden is aging while Donald is dementing. Calling him frightened and desperate, Mary Trump argued that the former president is concerned with his very freedom, that his very freedom relies on his ability to get back into the White House and make pending federal cases against him go away. As she lambasted the media for its coverage of the ex-commander-in-chief, Mary Trump concluded, the American people deserve to know what we're up against. We deserve to be told that there's a maniac on the loose. Imagine having your own relatives say that about you because you're so fucking unhinged. This is what it's come to, chat. Donald Trump's own niece, who happens to be a psychologist, has said that he's basically insane. And I gotta be honest, I'd have to agree. I'd have to fucking agree.